Welcome. We are live. Today, I'm going to show you one shift that if you learn and implement it, this is what it did for one of my clients. She went from a 15%, yes, 15% closing percentage to a 43% closing percentage. Her sales cycle went from 6 months to 3 weeks. 6 months to 3 weeks. So stay tuned, take notes. And my promise to you is if you apply this, you'll get more sales with a greater frequency in less time. So let me talk about Kim. I showed her a position shift, and it's about framing. The person with the strongest frame controls the conversation. Kimberly had a solution that she delivered that was next level, very competent. It's very hard to work with a client. As a matter of fact, I don't work with clients if they don't believe in their offer, in their solution, and their service, because you can't sell something you don't believe in, not with integrity anyway. So she delivered value to enterprise clients, but you know what? They yanked her around, they jerked her around. Every proposal, many times she was emailing the proposal. By the way, you should never, ever, ever, ever email a proposal. Always review it live with them. That is a video for another day. I'll stay off the rabbit trails for right now. She would give the proposal, and her clients would come back, or prospects who would later become a client, and say, well, you know what, this is too much. And we want to add this service. We don't like this service. Remove this. And she would acquiesce and say, okay. It was almost like she was saying, oh, well, 10%. Could you go for 7% discount instead? She was not sounding like that. But the way that she delivered her communication, she came across very weak. Very important thing I want you to learn. Here is you. Here is your prospect. You are equals. But you, being the salesperson, whether you're a founder, or salesperson, or whatever, you're in sales. You need to be the authority, not authoritarian, authority guiding and directing the conversation. If you allow the prospect to be the authority and guide and direct the conversation, guess what? I call it the mess principle. It will end up a mess for you and for them. And if you're thinking, listening to this, is like, Chaz, well, I don't want to be too salesy. I don't want to be pushy. It's not about being pushy. It's not about being salesy. It's about being a true professional guiding and directing the conversation. Think of it this way. Go with the intention to serve, not sell, and you will attract and not repel. What does that mean? What are you talking about, Willis? I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. If you want to serve your clients at the highest level, or prospects, they need to become your clients. In order for them to become your clients, you need to walk them through the process as the authority. Again, not authoritarian, not being aggressive, being assertive. Those are two vast different things. Assertive and being the authority, not aggressive and being pushy. Okay, authoritarian. No, don't do that. If you don't ask the difficult questions, if you don't have the necessary conversations, you are not going to be able to understand them. And if you don't understand them, you're not going to be able to present a solution that solves their problem, helps them burst through their obstacles so they can reach their goal. Sales, here's another way to think about it. Sales is not about selling the thing that you want people to buy. I'll say it one more time. Sales is not about getting the people to buy the thing you're selling. Sales is about helping people burst through those obstacles, break through those things that have been stopping them, and helping them reach their goal. But if you don't have a conversation that goes below the surface, you're never going to uncover the problem. And this is one of the things that many people struggle with. When you start going below the surface, it feels like you're getting in their personal business. You are. I've had people actually cry in conversations. Now, I don't go with the intention to make people cry, full disclosure. But when you talk to someone about their business, and I'm talking to a founder and they're struggling, that's emotional because a lot rides on their business being successful. They have to meet payroll, they have so many demands, taxes, estimated taxes, so many things. And when sales are not coming in predictably, there's a lot of stress. And so it's really important to understand them. And if you don't get below the surface and hear some colorful language, if you're talking to someone who cusses, that bleep, 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 you know, I am frustrated, this bleep, whatever it is, if you don't get below the surface, you're not going to understand them. It's not about getting in their business. It's about understanding them in a deep and meaningful way. So circling back to Kim, she was not getting deep and going below the surface. She would get some little bit of information and she would present an offer. Okay. And then they would come back and 10% off and take this out and take this off. And they would yank her around. And many times they were ghosting her and she was following up and following up and following up. And if you remember, I said her sales cycle was 6 months. This is one of the reasons why. If you have a meeting with a prospect, you should never, ever, ever, ever have to follow up with them. You should always end a meeting with a meeting. It saves you time, it saves them time. That's the way you, as the authority, you right here, controls the process. It saves them time, it saves you time. All right. So Kim was acting subservient. So instead of being like this, she was like this. Okay, Mr. Prospect. And getting yanked around left and right. Have you ever done this? By the way, if you're listening to this on YouTube, I have a book complimentary to you. It's called The B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales. I have video call out sections where I go deep, actual trainings. And if you want it, there'll be a link in the YouTube video below this video where you can download it. It's complimentary on me. Okay. So I met with Kim. She told me about what was going on. And she said, Chaz, I have a client who I worked with previously, a previous client, and they want to work with me again. And she said they were yanking her around and it was taking like 6-7 months, her typical sales cycle, to get them to start. And she goes, I'm scared. I mean, she was just being 100% transparent. And by the way, in sales, in life, all transformation happens after you embrace the truth. So she was being truthful. If you're not truthful, you're not going to transform. So this was one thing she really had going for her, and she was committed and coachable and decisive. I only work with people with those three things: being committed, coachable, and decisive. If you don't have these three things, you're going to waste your time. They're going to waste their time, and it's going to be a waste of your money if you were my potential client. Okay. So I taught her the authority frame where she shows up as the authority. And we prepped. I did a little role playing back and forth. Now she met with them. She asked deep questions. She really got to the heart of the problem and how much it was costing him, how that problem was keeping them from reaching their goal. Really, really good conversation. She told me she was so very surprised about that. And then she put together a solution. She scheduled a time and a date to present it to them, not sending them by email. As a matter of fact, Kim, send us the proposal. We'll just look it over and get back to you. She said, no, that's going to be a waste of your time and my time. Let's meet, because this way I'll be able to answer questions and we'll be able to go through everything. So it'll save you time. It will save me time. It will save all of us time. That's how you frame the conversation so they understand it. Say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So they got on a Zoom call and she recapped everything. So here's your problem. Here's your problem. Here's your problem. This is how much time you're wasting. This is what it's costing you. And if you don't solve this, you're never going to reach your goal. And so she recapped it in their language. Very important. You recap in their words, not your words. Why is that important? Because we all have our own idiosyncrasies. And if you don't speak to someone in their language and you speak to them in your language, they're not going to understand. But when you speak to someone in their language, whatever phrases and oddities they speak with, and when you speak to them in their language, it automatically builds rapport because you're speaking their language. We see the world as we are, not as it is. They see the world as they are, not as it is. So you have to speak their language. So she went through all these different things correctly, and then she presented her offer. And I also have a framework where after you present your offer, after you recap everything, you ask 3 questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, based where you are, where you want to go, what's your confidence level in me on helping you get from where you are to where you want to go and to deal with the obstacles you're dealing with? And they gave her something like an 8.5. Typically, if you're 8 and above, people will move forward. And then she asked 2 more questions. This is removing potential obstacles before they even come up. And when you do it right after the proposal, as opposed to the end of the conversation and try to overcome objections, it's much more difficult. Yes, there's a lot of great training programs in overcoming objections, but this is much better. It's a better way to influence, and they're more willing to have a conversation about things at this stage as opposed to the end of the conversation when they're putting their walls up because they know, okay, they're going to try to close me now. Does that make sense? The other question is there anything that I didn't cover that you hoped I would have? So many times people, well, you thought this and this, and what this, this happens after the conversation when they want to think about it. We want to take away, I need to think about it away by having these 3 questions. Is there anything we didn't cover or I didn't cover that you hoped I would have? And they said, nope, you covered everything. Okay, check. Third question, is there anything based on what I discussed that gives you any pause or hesitation from moving forward? I'm like, well, price, how much is it? And so now they had the pricing. They said, other than that, no. Okay, check. Did a great job. So this is the price, and it was higher than what she charged them before, much higher. And they said, Kim, wow, whoo, man. They said, we're going to need to think about this because that's way higher. I mean, when you consider a 20% discount and also these other things you talked about, we're not going to need those things. And she said, can I be direct with you? Now, this took them aback because they weren't used to her acting as the authority. And they said, yes. With what you're saying, you want me to do, I can't do it. And I'm not going to be able to work with you. They were like, what? I put this together based on your problems, what is costing you, and you reaching your goal. I deliver you the best value, and my proposal is what needs to happen in the way that it's put together so you can get through these problems and get to the goal. If you want me to help you, this is the proposal at the price, the way it is. I thought through this, and I know you because we've worked several times together. They had worked together twice before. And so this is the proposal. And if you don't want to and you want to discount it, I'm sorry, we're just not going to be able to work together. There was a dead silence. And the CEO said, Kim, can we call you back in 10 minutes? Kim got off the Zoom call. She sent me a text, Chaz, I just think I screwed it all up. And so I wasn't doing anything. So I gave her a call. I go, what's going on? She said, I went through everything and they said, we're going to call you back. And I listened to the story. She went through it. I go, just sit back. You did a great job. And she goes, I'm afraid I'm not going to I could really need this money. I go, just chill, take a breath. And when we were talking on the phone, Check this out. Are you ready? She got an email from the CEO with the contract and an apology. Contract signed, paid in full. And the CEO said, I apologize. You've been doing great work for us, and we look forward to working together. She was elated. Now, Kim, that's how Kim went from 15% closing percentage to 43%, and from a 6-month sales cycle to a 3-week sales cycle. So remember this, the person with the stronger frame and you being the salesperson, it's your job to be the authority. You're equals, but you are the authority guiding and directing the conversation. If you allow them to guide and direct the conversation and you act subservient, oh, thank you so much, Mr. Prospect, for meeting. It's so great. Thank you for your time. No, I know we're both busy and we have an hour. Let's get on with it. These are the things we're going to cover today. That's being the authority. Yes, you're going to be pleasant, but you're assertive and the authority. So remember this, show up as the authority with the intention to serve, not sell, and you will attract and not repel. Do this and you will close more business in less time. Again, if you want my book, The B2B Blueprint to Predictable Sales, if you're not on YouTube, just send me a DM or comment below, B2B Blueprint. If you're on YouTube, there's a link below, download my book. It's not just information, there's video training. If you go through it, it's going to help you identify, attract, and onboard new clients with a greater frequency.